Hey, what's up? We are live and we are going over a couple different things. It's going to be exciting, so make sure that you stay till the end. We are going over two very, very specific things, as you can see in the title of this live broadcast. Okay, so we're talking about the conflict of interest with the credit bureaus, and we are also talking about, and I will have an in-depth version of how I took, and this is my proof of concept, how I actually took someone from zero credit to over $1.5 million in credit in 11 months. Now, that is something that is realistic. So because we're live, I'm going to go and I'm going to change some of my settings. I will then share my screen and we will jump into this. All right. So a couple of things. While I am doing my settings on here, I need for you to click on the like so that you can let me and Google know that you enjoy my content. And I need you to smash that thing that says subscribe if you haven't done so. And it's not going to take that long, just a couple of settings here, like I said, that I need to go and fix because doing a recorded video is not the same as going live. Okay. All right. So why are we going over the conflict of interest? Well, we're going over the conflict of interest for a couple different reasons. It's been a big thing that has come up in my comment section recently, and it's also something that you as a consumer need to know about when you are disputing with the credit bureaus. All right, so we are almost done here on my end. Just need to click on a couple of different things to save this. I believe we are just about ready. Hopefully you don't have any problems hearing me. Like I said, we are alive. I don't have the ability to check this before going live. And I think we are good. All right. So before we move forward, I will let you know that all you have to do is go to my channel, my main channel page, and you will be able to access over 8 years or 800 videos that I've put together for you so that you can actually fix your credit yourself. You don't have to go to anybody else, and you won't have to worry about doing it the wrong way or not being able to remove negative items from your credit report. All right. So I believe we are ready to go. Are you ready? I am definitely ready. All right. I'm going to get to this. I'm going to share my screen. First thing I want to tell you is if you need help fixing your own credit report, right? You want to increase your credit scores. You want to remove your negative items. I don't care what they are. Collections, charge-offs, repos, foreclosures, bankruptcy. If you have negative items that are outside of a foreclosure in process or child support, then you can use the link on your screen, schedule a call with me, and I will see if I can help. Now, we are going to go and share my screen now. And just as I mentioned, I have 8 years here on YouTube. Okay, I've been doing this for 12, but I've got 8 years. There are 800 videos right here on my channel. They go way back, dude, way back. Like I said, 8 years. Now, that also brings me to letting you know that, dude, if there were a way, because I had another 2 people ask me today about, oh, I understand that, your program is, I don't know, 6 to 8 months or so, but am I going to see, the majority of my negative items come off in 60 days? And I'm like, dude, you just admitted to knowing that it's 6 to 8 months. So why are you even bringing up 60 days? Don't you think that with 800 videos and my 8 years here, that what I would offer it to you? I mean, faster turnaround, higher amount that I can charge. I'm not just holding back here. Okay. So if you want to do this yourself, the one place that you want to start is right here. As you can see, there are literally videos on everything you could possibly imagine: removing collections, charge-offs, repos, late payments, specifically portfolio recovery and Midland and all that kind of stuff. All right. So we are now going to go, and the one thing that I want to also mention, because this is actually going to end tomorrow, Tuesday, you still have 1 day, 3 hours, 22 minutes, and 22 seconds to go and check out all 4 parts of my course. And that link, I will actually give it to you right now. That link is going to be this one lives.kristen.com, sale. You can go and check out each of these. There's the dispute library, the credit bureaus, creditors, collectors, the tactics, and the one that I have never shown to you before, meaning in a sale or even sold it unless you were part of my beta coaching course, part 1, basics. All right. And that is where we are going to also find the conflict of interest. Okay. And that's where we are going to start. And yes, we're going to be talking about zero credit to over 1.5 million in credit in 11 months. But this is actually where you need to start. So if you want to check this out, because again, it ends on Tuesday, then that is where you're going to want to go. And this is actually out of that. So this is credit repair basics. But if you don't have a solid foundation, then the bureaus are going to be able to literally make you shake, bend, or fold. And with me, obviously they can't do either of those. But for you, if you don't have that foundation, then you are lining yourself up to basically crack because you don't know how to handle certain things, right? So before you get into tactics, if you picked that up a couple of days ago when I was running 50% on that, or if you're dealing with the big bag of wolves or whatever, or even my dispute library, if you haven't gotten this, you definitely want to. All right, so you can find all of this, a table of contents, on that link. But we are specifically going to page 26, conflict of interest, and that is going to answer the questions that I have found in my comment section recently. Okay, so we're going to go over this together. I'm going to make this just slightly bigger. Okay, so this was also in one of my videos I did in 2019, all right? So the credit bureaus are in the data business. And again, we are going over this because if you don't know this, then you're not gonna be able to utilize it. If you can't utilize it, then you might not be able to know how to fight the bureaus, okay? And this is, again, about having realistic expectations, and that is going to be leading into the bigger part of this, which is probably what you are here for. And trust me, these things definitely correlate, okay? So the credit bureaus are in the data business, right? So subprime data, bad credit, is the most profitable data for the bureaus to own and sell, okay? More accurate data would probably mean less, since the partial matches feature of the matching algorithm would have to be trimmed down, right? So they're basically obtaining, maintaining, and selling your information. If they don't have enough of it, then obviously that means that they're going to make less money because they are paid to report specific things, right? So obviously that's probably making you think about the fact that they don't want to remove these things from your credit report because they're paid to report it, right? So more accurate data would mean less concern about identity theft, less paranoid consumers, and less revenue generated from, again, selling credit reports and identity theft related services to paranoid consumers. I said this the other day, if you go to Equifax's website, they want to sell you on their credit monitoring services because otherwise you will be full of fraud, right? So the bureau's main customers are creditors. It's not you. It is not the consumer, my friend. It is the creditors. It is in their best interest as businesses to serve the interest of their main customers, right? And that's not always in your best interest. So since most people don't take the time to follow up and force the issue with the bureaus, it's often more profitable for them to ignore disputes than it is to resolve them, all right? And then, of course, through eOscar and, other dispute automation things, there's going to be a lot of incorrect information that stays on your credit report. So it's a conflict of interest because they are the ones that are paid to report your credit report information. And yet you, the consumer, actually have to go to them to say, hey, big bad bureaus, this is inaccurate. Can you please remove it? And obviously, their job is to tell you, no, you can't. So am I telling you that it's impossible to remove things? No. Dude, no. With the formula that I created, the Agero formula, I was able to, in 2021, remove over 23,000 negative items. 2020 was 20,000. And the numbers are even higher this year. So does that mean that, you're not going to be able to remove your collections and charge-offs and all of that? No, it does not mean that. And that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that if there were a way to make this faster, if there were a way to give you exactly what you're looking for, what all these people come to me for, these 60 days and 14 days and blah, 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 you hear me say this all the time, there wouldn't be 68 million people. There wouldn't be, people coming up that are only going to see plastic. There wouldn't be my oldest client who is 89 years old and my youngest who's 18. None of these things would exist. And I would have, trust and believe, I would have no problem selling it to you because, again, don't I have 800 videos proving to you that there are no quick ways to do this? There is, however, there is the right way to do this. And there is, however, a way for you to obtain the things that you want. Because I know that you want these loans. I know that you want these houses. I know that you want these credit cards with high limits. I know that you want, better neighborhoods for your kids to go to school in and all of that. But it's going to take time. And when you invest just a fraction of the time that you took to initially build your credit and then screw it up, you will be able to move on with your life and get these things, right? But it has to happen a specific way. All right, so let's talk about the right way to do this. And for this, I am going to be using my Wickham something in the world. Okay, if you have not heard of it before, the partial story that I've actually given you, and I say partial because I have a whole project coming out called The Journey where I break this down and explain everything to you. But just as the title of this says, I was able to take someone from literally zero credit all the way to over 1.5 million in credit in just 11 months. All right. And guess what? They literally started with not just a thin file, but zero on there because they're a felon, right? And even though it's been 10 years with, nothing, not even a speeding ticket, not a jaywalking ticket, nothing. Eventually, they did have a couple of things that went on their credit report. Okay. So the first thing that we had to do, although we were going to start with building it, but then, a couple negatives came on there. First thing that we actually had to do was remove these negatives, right? And let's see if I could do this. So in the beginning, we actually started with a couple negative items. It was actually 7, okay? There were no charge-offs or anything like that, but we had these things that we had to remove before we could go and talk about the goals. The goals being, a house and investing and house flipping and blah, 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 all these other things. So very first thing that we had to do was take a couple of months and remove these 7 negative items. And they weren't reported to all 3 bureaus, but some were reported to 2. There was one that was reported to 1, and the rest of them were reported to all 3. So now after it was 7.5 months, but let's call it 8, right? So total process, let's just put it down here. Total process took about 18 months. All right. And that is from having literally zero credit to having negative credit. So we're all the way down here to removing the negatives, to building the credit, to obtaining the good credit that we wanted. Okay. So this entire thing is a process. What I want for you to do is understand that. So I'm not here to tell you that it's going to happen overnight. There's literally people who get pissed off when they find out that I do credit repair for a living. Just as an example, my aunt who had never, ever, ever, ever even paid late on a credit card, right? She was like the one with the credit cards when I was a kid that everyone looked up to. She got literally not pissed off because she didn't smile. She also didn't frown, but you know what I mean? She just gave me that look that was like, oh, you do that, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in the financial industry. And she's like, oh, so what do you, financial industry, what do you do? Are you a financial advisor? I'm like, no, I actually fix credit for a living, people who maybe didn't pay on time or something happened. And she gave me that look like, oh, you're one of those, because, she had only spent her entire life building her credit and paying on time and never being late and making sure that everything was just spot on every single month, right? And that was before auto pay and all of that, because she was like 1,000,000 years old, right? So the entire point is that, there's other industries and companies and people who, just because of the work or the field that I'm in, don't really have much of many fun things to say, just because they look at this as like, oh, you help them. Well, I am them. I had, those instances where I had to remove things from my own credit report. So that's why I do the things that I do, because I've been there. But my job over the last 8 years is to ensure that you have the right frame of mind and the right mindset to, doing this, and um, the ability to move forward. Because if you don't, you're going to just go over here and you're going to try to do this program with, Bob, and then it's not going to work out with Bob because Bob's 60-day program didn't work. And then you're going to go over here to, Jane LLC, and you're going to spend another 2 months here. And then you're going to go here to, one of the big guys, and then you're going to spend 11 months there. When if you had just done it right, the way that, as an example, I'm going to show you, you could have just removed your negatives, built up your credit, gotten your score where it needed to be, and then you could have gotten the house and the loans and all of that without having to deal with any of these false promises, right? All right, so we have these negative items. We remove these negative items. That took about 8 months. Like I said, it was about 7.5. And then now we're literally stuck with a thin file. There was absolutely nothing on there, right? Not a pin drop, nothing. Okay. So now we had to say, okay, well, what are we going to put on here? Well, unfortunately, when you have nothing on there, and this is another thing about understanding this entire process, you can't just go and apply for, a $5,000 card, right? You can't just go out and get, couple G's. You have to start with hundreds. So there's too many zeros here. And it's probably not even a 5. You're looking at like a 2. Okay. So now you have to start building with, self-lender is what we use. Self-lender, kickoff. There were a couple of other ones, but the majority of people do go with self. We started with self just to be able to put a couple of things on there. And then once, you have that installment loan, and then when you have, the secured card and then the unsecured card, just like I showed in a previous video where credit building for beginners, now you can branch out and go a couple different places. We didn't want to add too many of these small ones. Why? Well, number one, it doesn't look that good, right? You have all these tiny little cards when if you could just get 2 main ones or 3, build those up just for a little while, especially ones that have where you can increase your own limits. Then now when you get it to 1,500 or when you get it to 1,000, you can go, to Capital One or to Credit One or to wherever, and be able to get a card, meaning a credit line that is unsecured for that same amount because they see that you've been paying all this time. And that's exactly what we did. We built out 3 of these. So it was installment, secured, unsecured. And then we went and added some of the bigger ones. So bigger having to do with having 0 credit, right? So then we went and added a couple more. So there was Capital One, there was Credit One, Indigo, what is it? Mercury. Yeah, Indigo, Mercury, and a couple of others, right? So, and now I think this is going to make it so that I cannot draw anymore. So let me just fix this. But basically, after having these lines on there, we built them up just a little bit more, right? As you can see, there's time that goes into this. Again, removing, then adding a couple of the small ones, then a couple of the bigger ones, and then adding 2 more larger ones, and then adding, what do you call it? The auto installment. So then we added a car on there and a couple of other not so big, not so small, kind of medium. We have Discover on there, and eventually it got to the point where it was like, okay, now we are ready to apply for something larger, right? So when we went and applied for something larger, it was actually a house. You have all these companies who didn't even want to give $200 in credit, let alone, a $200,000 loan. So how did that happen? Well, you have to understand how lenders think, right? And when it comes to disputing your negatives, they don't want to remove these things because they want other people to know exactly how you treat your credit. It's kind of like Yelp reviews, but for credit, right? And then when it comes to actually obtaining credit, they will give you I don't know, $30,000 car or a $200,000 loan on a house before they give you $10,000, $5,000, or even $2,000 on some sort of credit that is, not secured. And that's because they can come right over and swoop this right out from underneath you. They can come to your house and they can, repossess your car. They can, pick it up while you're at a taco stand or something. I mean, you have to understand that that is the way that they think, and understanding how they think will, it'll allow you to be able to um, dispute the right way, build the right way, and you will be able to get these things off. All right. So now we have all of these. We have a couple of small ones. We have zero negatives. We have a couple of the bigger ones. We have an auto loan, and now we go and apply for a mortgage. Right. So we actually moved back from Vegas, came back here to New York. And I'm saying we because my proof of concept is my husband and that, the felon that I was talking about, right? And we were able to get the house that we have here. It's a big ass house, 2,600 square feet, right? Now, obviously, you can't find that in other places where it's only $200,000 for 2,600 square feet. But point being, now we had, $200,000 loan. We have a 30,000, or excuse me, not 30,000, $60,000 car. The second one was a 30,000, and the third one was 45,000. So then we were like, hey, you know what? Let's go and move back to Vegas. There's nothing like Vegas. And obviously there was a little bit of time between that, but we're like, hey, no problem with having two houses, right? So we had a really awesome realtor in Las Vegas that was like, just do everything through us. It'll be pretty awesome. You guys have absolutely perfect credit. And the reason why he said perfect was very simply because of the 780 credit score. All of these on-time payments, the perfect loans, the smaller cards, the medium cards, and the larger lines. And 1.5 million, like what are you guys looking for? We're like, you know probably not more than 800,000. He's like, well, I'm asking because you guys can actually get approved for, I would say, before you start pushing it and before you start looking at, two mortgages, you could probably get away with about 1.4 million. And we're like, hey, you know what? That sounds pretty cool. We can get the house that we always, dreamed of, and blah, blah, blah. But all of this took 18 months in total. Why am I telling you this entire story? Well, I'm telling you this entire story because it's there's so much more that goes into um, this entire process, right? People want you to believe that, you just send 1 to 2 letters, right? So we have like a regular dispute and, like, I don't know, a method of verification, or we have, investigate this type of letter. And then we have, well, you didn't investigate it, delete it. Dude, these laws are there for a reason, because there's violations, because the bureaus don't do their job. And the only way to get to the point where, a loan officer is literally asking like how many millions you want is for you to understand the system, right? Obviously, my husband was able to capitalize on the system and leverage it because of my past experience doing this for 12 years and understanding, what we need, what we don't need, and what's going to be the best thing to get there the quickest. But it's also the fact that there is no fast way. There's no fast way, right? There's no fast way. And when you go into this understanding that, like there's specific steps that you have to take, because what I want for you to get out of everything, and like I said, I will be doing a step-by-step, in-depth journey on, like, literally with approvals and denials and issues and everything that went into being able to get 200,000 and then 1.4 million, and just all these other different things in such a short period of time. When it comes to understanding this entire process, that's very, very short to be able to go from nothing to having that, right? But there were pitfalls and there were a lot of bumps along the way, and that's the reason that I want to actually go in depth and share that story with you, because it may be able to not only shed some light, but help you to understand that there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is a way to get there. And, if you follow even just a couple of the things that I teach, then, you know, maybe you will be able to get that as well. Now, the very last thing that I actually want to talk about, and let's just discard this. Very last thing that I want to talk about is the steps, right? So if we just go back to the very first part of what I was saying about fast processes, right? So as a business, right? Because that's what I am, right? I'm a business, right? I'm a business owner and I fix credit for a living. So if you take away everything except for looking at a business point of view, again, if there were a way for me as a business to give you exactly what you want, which is a faster process, right? A fast turnaround, we wouldn't have gone through and made 800 videos telling you the exact opposite of it, right? I had someone say the other day, why do why does it take so long? Why do you drag people along? Why don't you do this? Why do you do that? Why? And here's the thing. This isn't a long process. Again, if you just take a fraction of the time that it took you to initially build your credit and then go screw it up, just a fraction of that time, then you would be able to take that and invest in yourself and remove these from your credit report. There is no fast way. There is no fast way. And I can't stress that enough, because I want to give you exactly what you're looking for, but if there were some magic wand that I can just dun dun dun, dun unicorns and rainbows, dude, not only would you not be able to afford it, right? Just realistically, you wouldn't be able to afford it, but people would weaponize it with all those 68 million people out there. Dude, I would go to every single dealership and every single loan officer and every single bank, and I would be every single place selling that miracle cure, because every single person needs it, right? And I would be hated by everybody else. Every single person needs it, and you wouldn't be finding it here on YouTube, because guess what? It does not exist. It doesn't exist. And I had some, crabby person in my comments saying, yeah, I get it. The bureaus are assholes. And yeah, I get it. It takes time. And yeah, I get it. Obviously, you don't get it, because you're over here in my comment section bitching about what I'm saying, when all I'm saying is there's a right way to do this, there's a wrong way to do this. And if you don't do it the right way, you're not going to be able to remove your negative items from your credit report. And you're going to be stuck doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. Right? I mean, like, don't you consider a faster time, literally a faster time frame, and obviously the ability to charge more? That sounds kind of nice, right? Because I'd be able to it would suit everybody. But that also tells me that it would be an assembly line process, and that goes to saying, hey, do I drag people on? No, I don't drag people on. I have an open door policy. I'm just the only asshole around here that's telling people how it really is. There is no 60-day process. There is no 14-day process. There is no 11-day process. There is no 45-day process. Dude, that is one round of disputes. That's literally you taking one letter, putting in the mail, and hey, boom, that's it. What happened to all those people who watched all those videos about how fast it was and implemented those processes? Why didn't they come back and say, hey, guess what? I did exactly what you wanted me to do and told me to do. And oh my God, I got all these results. Why? It's because it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It's not going to happen. And, there is a right way to do this. What's the right way to do this? Well, it is to go to my videos and learn factual based disputes. The only way to beat the bureaus with their conflict of interest and, they're verified as accurate, and them coming back and either ignoring you or denying you or banning you, is to understand who they are, why they are the way that they are, and what it is that you have to do. And right now is the time for you to just slow down a little bit and say, hey, you know what? She is absolutely right. Why am I right? Well, thanks for asking that question. I'm right because everybody else wants you to think that there's some miracle out there, and there is no miracle. The only miracle is the ability to dispute and your due process. Your due process is, like I said, your ability to dispute. Now, why am I saying that? Well, I mean, prior to a little while ago, you weren't even able to, prior to the 70s, you weren't even able to have any control over what went on your credit report. And, then of course they implemented the FCRA and blah, 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 and the FDCPA. And now you have the ability to go look at your credit report and dispute specific inaccurate negative items on there. But I'm telling you, that is going to change very soon. So everyone that thinks that this is such an easy process has a very rude awakening coming, because everything is going to be regulated even more, right? And I've been telling you this for years. And you know what? If you think I'm rambling, guess what? It's as simple as click out of this live and go somewhere else and listen to someone else tell you lies, because I speak nothing but the truth. Men lie, women lie, but numbers don't lie. And mine tell you that I know what I'm talking about. Okay. And guess what? This is my channel, so I can talk about the things that I want to. And right now, it's not about what I want to, it's about what you need to hear. Because I have the same people coming back and telling me, hey, I finally implemented the things that you're teaching, the things that you've been saying for 8 years. And if I had only listened to you all these years ago, I wouldn't have had to wait 5 years or 6 years or 2 years to remove my collections, because hey, guess what? All I had to do was not send a 609 and not use this and not do that and not dispute online. If I had just used factual based disputes, which is the same thing that I've been telling you for all these years, then hey, you know what? But we're here now. Okay. So if you want to actually have an action plan to reach a real goal of getting these houses and these loans and all these different things, then you have to look at this realistically and say, all right, okay, I get it. I have, 15 negative items, and these 15 negative items are going to take me an average of 8 months to remove. And in these 8 months, I can probably add another 3 lines. And once these 8 months go by and my 15 negative items are off, I'm still going to have these lines right here that are going to be built a little bit. And then I can go and add some more. And after these are built just a little bit, and I have 5 different types of credit on there, now I can go and apply for my house, right? I can go and get my car. I can go and do whatever it is that you want to do, but you have to have a realistic game plan. You have to have the right outlook to do this, right? Because I mean, we're only dealing with people's lives hanging in the balance. So why am I going to tell you something that isn't real? Why am I going to tell you to do something that I haven't tested on, over 8 years, right? Because I don't just tell you things. I prove it to you. I show you the credit reports. I show you the process. I show you the beginning and the end and the middle. And I've already proven to you that this works. So if you just take a little bit of that time that it took you to build it, and then a little bit of that time that it took you to initially fuck it up, just a fraction, you'll be able to remove your negative items. You'll be able to get that house. You'll be able to get that loan. You'll be able to get those credit cards. You'll be able to do all these things that you want to do. But the very first thing that I want for you to do is stop bullshitting yourself and start looking at this with the blinders off and say, hey, you know what? Okay, I get it. There's no fast process, but this is possible. That's all you have to do. And if you don't like that, I swear, then hey, sorry, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, there's other people who will, oh, honey, it's really as simple as just sending this out. So like, let's talk about unicorns and rainbows. That's not me. That's not me. If you want that, that's not me. That's not here. That's not right now. And that's not going to get you money. That's not going to get you a house. It's not going to get you a better job. It's not going to get your kids, into a better school. What it is going to get you is God. And that's not me. That's not here. Going back to someone saying that I drag people along. Dude, open door policy. I tell you straight up, when I get on the call with you to see if you are going to fit my program, right, that you're looking at 6 to 8 months. And then I don't lock you in. I just give you realistic expectations. And hey, if you want to give away your basic consumer rights to see what you pay for, then by all means. There's thousands of other companies out there, right? Because why? Why do I say that? Why? Because there's only a few of us in the nation that give the copies of the disputes. And I say us rights, right? When you go to Walmart or Costco or BJ's or whatever, Safeway, Price Chopper, right? You walk in with your money or your plastic, you buy something, you take that something and your receipt and you go home. Just imagine being a kid, and your mom or your aunt, your cousin, whoever gave you, 50 cents or $1, right, to go to the store, and you came back without that thing and without the money and without a receipt. Like, dude, I would have got my ass whipped, right? Oh my God, I can't even imagine telling my mom, yeah, I went to the store, but I can't tell you what I bought because I can't see it. I didn't even get a receipt. I said what I got. So sorry, mom. Sorry, so sorry. No, dude, I wouldn't have been able to sit for a week. Why? Because these things are instilled in us when we are kids. You buy something, you see it, you get a receipt. But now you guys want to give away all of these basic everything, right? Falsifying documentation so that these other people can get paid. What do I mean by that? Well, that's a great question. Thank you for asking. That means that you go to these companies and number one, they have you pay with PayPal and all these other things, right? Where it literally says, dude, we won't have anything to do with credit repair. It's literally in their terms and conditions and their acceptable use policy. No credit repair, no debt settlement, blah, 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 right? It's right up there with weed and porn, okay? So anyways, so that's why they have it say as discussed, right? So you get a receipt that says, services as discussed, and then they have you tell the merchant that it was for photography services. That's like a real thing. That's literally a real thing that they have you do, so that their merchant account, that it's a blow up account, so that they will get as much money as possible. And whatever, 90 days pass, and now they have your money. You don't have your results. You don't have anything other than something saying that you paid for services as described or as discussed, and you didn't get the copies of the dispute, and you have no idea what they're doing, but you do know that they have your credit report and your social security number and a copy of your ID and a copy of your social security card and a copy of your proof of address, right? I mean, that's a little bit scary for you to have all of my information, my entire identity, and I don't even know what the heck you're doing. That's scary. So yeah, when you go to these companies, you need to make sure you are getting the copies of the disputes. You're not going to be able to get that other than here, okay? And that your receipt literally says credit repair. Another one, all legitimate credit repair businesses will allow you to have a receipt that says credit repair right on it, okay? And they won't lock you into any specific time period. And they're also not going to lie and tell you any specific time period that is something they cannot deliver on. And there's no way to deliver 90 days. There's no way to deliver 45 days, all right? Anyways, that is it for right now. Like I said, I am going to be going in depth way to show you how we did this right from start to finish with everything, all the receipts and the approvals and the conversations literally between us and the loan officer in Las Vegas, and all of the different lines that we got, and how long it took, the credit reports along the way. And it's actually, like I said, it's going to be a project. It's called The Journey. But again, if you want to save 50% and access part 1, which I've never sold unless you were part of my beta coaching program, then head over to the link that you see on your screen right now. It is lives.ask-kristen.com/course-sale, and access this until Tuesday. But you can see what is included on all of these except for the dispute library, because it's literally 180 pages of dispute letters. But anyways, you can come right here and click on it, and it'll show you everything that is in here, as well as a quiz so that you can see which of these you actually need. And then if you scroll down, you can scroll through these and see the table of contents for each of them. So like credit repair basics, that's going to be this one right here. You have the option to pay full price or pay 50% using one of these blue buttons right here. But anyways, I think that has been long enough. We are going to end it here. So I'm going to remove myself and remove the screen share. Excuse me, not myself, not yet. But if you have specific questions that you want to ask about credit building or about removing specific negative items, then right now is your chance to go to any of my other videos and post it on there so that I know what it is that you actually need some assistance with, all right? And I think that's it. And if you wanted to have me do your file for you. I don't know if I can help you yet because that's obviously why we do the call. But you can head over to my740.com, schedule a call with me, and I will see if I can help. That is that link right here. But if you wanted to access the course, that is this link right here. You can get all four parts, or you can get them individually if you only need one over the other. But that was it for tonight on going from zero credit to over 1.5 million in a realistic period of time. And now I am going to shut down my studio with all of my lights and all these different things plugged into my computer. And I am going to go back to my family because it is time for my kids to go to bed. So I will see you later. I hope you have a great week. Have a wonderful Labor Day. And if you haven't done so yet, you want to jump onto my what do you call it? My YouTube exclusive email list, because that is where I notify you first about all these different things. And I'm not just talking about sales, I'm literally talking about different things that I don't share with the general public. And speaking of magic wands, remember I told you that if I had a magic wand, like that's just what it made me think of. If I had a magic wand, I got this out of a video the other night. It's called Most Dangerous Game, where the dude has like some brain tumor or whatever. And he's like, dude, can't you just give me a loan instead of me doing this god awful game where people are going to hunt me or whatever? And he said, if I had a magic wand to give you this miracle, you wouldn't be able to afford it. And I was like, oh my God, that's exactly what it is. Literally with credit, if I can give you that 30-day process, that 60-day process, all these different things that people ask me to give, you wouldn't be able to afford it. It would be weaponized. Everybody, everywhere would be in on it. And it would be the end of this economy. It would go through the dumps so fast that you wouldn't even be able to blink. All right. So I'm going to stop rambling now. I will see you later. Have a great one. If you didn't smash that like yet, then I don't know. You should. And that is it. Have a great one. Bye.